right, so then this is going to cause a little controversy. We'll have to ask Clark the next time he comes on as well. But in your opinion, Ethan, who do you think is more likely to win the Super Bowl, LA Chargers or Cincinnati Bengals?
Super Bowl. Oh, you're putting me on the spot here.
I am. We're gonna get a hot take out of you tonight.
Clark, if you're watching, we know you are.
I'm very clear about this. I think the Chargers have a more clear path to win the Super Bowl than the Bengals. And the reason for that is I think Herbert's a better quarterback than Joe Burrow. I've said this to Clark before. Clark even ranked him ahead. He tries to act like Joe Burrow could be elevated to better. I just think Justin Herbert is a more talented thrower of the football. I don't think anyone has the kind of arm strength with athleticism that he does. The way that he's able to move in the pocket and throw the ball 60 yards down the field is absolutely insanity. I think they're actually pretty pretty similar teams. I just think that probably the Bengals are going to actually, as weird as this is, I think they're going to have a rougher time trying to win their division than the Chargers are to win the AFC West, even though I think the AFC West is tougher. I think the Ravens are going to give the Bengals fits. I don't know if the Bengals are going to win their division. We said this on the show. I would still pick the Bengals to win just because they were in the Super Bowl last year. But Baltimore with a fully healthy team, all those draft picks, J.K. Dobbins coming back, Lamar Jackson in a contract year.
Are you listening, Cody?
I am. I still don't agree, but that's fine.
No, I'm just saying they're a really hard team to project because they added a ton of talent and they had so many injuries. But where it ultimately comes down to is I think John Harbaugh is a top 5 coach in the league. He continually keeps that team in it. And I think if it comes down to it, John Harbaugh will outcoach Zach Taylor. I'm still not the hugest Zach Taylor fan in the world.
Right.
So I think the Chargers have a more likely. Would I be surprised if the Bengals are there again? Definitely. I don't think they'll repeat and go back. I think the AFC is too hard for the same team to repeat.
Yeah.
I mean, the clearest path is the Bills. The Bills are clearly the front runners in my mind.
But that's not the question, though. It was the Chargers or the Bengals. I want to get some. I want to get some takes out of you, and we got to ask Clark now. On the
apparently, we're trying to break up from the back seat.
Clark and I have had plenty of discussions before last year. Clark and I had this big argument about who has a better deep ball, or who will be better with his deep ball, Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow next year. Which Burrow benefited from having Jamar Chase just yak yards, running him 50 yards down the field. So Clark technically won that one, but we'll see. I think the Chargers are going to have a more likely shot to win the Super Bowl than the Bengals. I think the Chargers are a more talented team overall. I think if the Chargers are firing on all cylinders, they're going to just be hard to beat because they have so many all-pro players. I mean, they have Rashawn Slater on the offensive line, Austin Eckler, who's arguably one of the best pass-catching running backs in the league. Keenan Allen, who we talked about last show, has slowed down, but he's still a top 20 receiver. People try to act like, or just forgetting that just because he's not as good as he used to be, that doesn't mean he's not good. He's still a good player. He's just not what he was.
I believe he should move to the slot, to be honest, because I think his route running that he does is still very elite. I think his hands, for some reason, he's had some weird drops I've seen in the last couple of years. But if he moved to the slot, I think he would actually extend his career a little bit, to be honest.
Totally agree. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, we talked about it earlier. Joey Bosa, Derwin James, J.C. Jackson, Khalil Mack. It's hard to beat a better 4 of that caliber of player. So we'll see. We'll see. I definitely think the Chargers are more likely to win. I got to tread lightly. I can't get Clark too mad at me. Clark and I try to tread lightly on Bengals Chargers things. You'll hear. Luckily, we don't play this year. We might play in the playoffs. So this is a fun Clark story. So going back all the way to 2013, the Chargers and Bengals actually played in the playoffs. The Chargers just snuck in. Bengals were 8-0 at home. Chargers came on the road, beat them. Clark punched a wall.
Oh.
So
this was in 2013?
This is in 2013. Don't ask me about what happened in 2015 when the Bengals melted down and lost to the Steelers.
Oh, I bet he was pulling his hair out with Andy Dalton, that's for sure.
You know, he was a big Andy Dalton guy. He really liked Dalton for a long time, which
a lot of Bengals fans were. Yeah.
I mean, he won them a lot of games. I mean, for how bad of a franchise
just
they were.
not the most important ones, but yeah.
No, I mean, Burrow pulled them through. I mean, they got to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
A lot of people call the Bengals Super Bowl run really fluky, which in some ways it is, but their defense played really, really well down the stretch.
Yeah. I mean, they were arguably obviously the second hottest team in the league. That's why they got to the Super Bowl. And if it wasn't for their offensive line, they might have even won it, you know, and in this offseason they addressed it. And what I think, and you know, I get your point. I think too, the division is a little bit easier for the Bengals to win. And I understand the Ravens are going to probably be the biggest challenge that the Bengals will see in that division the entire year. I'm not disputing that. I just think that the Bengals have more weapons. I don't really believe in the Ravens offense that much outside of Lamar and Andrews. And if that's all that they have, that's like a huge concern for me. And I think the Bengals, they just have too much. If you have Lamar that can't locate Andrews, or he's injured for some reason, or for some reason that offense isn't clicking in terms of the Ravens, and then you give Burrow like a bunch of opportunities to go down and score with Chase and Higgins and Boyd, he's got to find that end zone. There's just no way you're going to keep him out with all those opportunities. And I think in that sense, that's where I see the Bengals will have the edge. So I'm not saying that the Chargers don't have a way to get to the Super Bowl. I think that the Bengals' path is easier because of the division that they're in.
No, it's totally fair. I mean, I totally get. I mean, they have by far the best offensive collection of weapons in the league. I don't know who can go deep. They have 3 great receivers. They have a good running back.
Arguably the best 3 receivers like group in all of football, or at least top 3 at least. Because
I don't even think it's an argument. I think they are. I don't know who else is toe-to-toe with them.